Once again, ladies and gentlemen, a good evening to you and happy Independence Day. We are very glad to have so many of you here with us tonight. This is our annual 4th of July extravaganza, and as you know, we have our special guests from the Chicago Mercantile Battery who will be featured later, and we have a few specialties for you tonight as well, since this concert falls on the holiday itself. It is a steamer tonight, so we're going to get things rolling, but first, what about a woohoo for that storm cloud passing us? We won! At this year's concert, we are happy to inaugurate a few new pieces for you, one of those being this fanfare, composed by Javier Perez Garrido. This piece was dedicated to those who perished in the 9/11 attacks, and just as significant, this music shows the courage of those heroes who decided to fight terror and offer solidarity and service to the countless victims, many of whom lost their lives in such an admirable task. Folks, tonight we need to say that after communicating with this composer, we learned that he contacted many bands from 4 different countries to schedule a premiere, and we, the Sterling Municipal Band, was chosen to premiere the piece, and we are happy to offer its first performance worldwide. The physical sheet music was sent to us electronically, and at the composer's request, we are recording this fanfare with video and audio so that he can publish it on his website to promote it, so that means your applause will be a part of that media. Again, dedicated to the victims of the 9/11 attacks, this is the premiere performance of American Fanfare Opus 61, composed by Javier Perez Garrido. Our Independence Day concerts always feature music from the American March King, and as it was written, the U.S. Field Artillery March was dedicated to the officers and men of the 306th Regiment of the United States Field Artillery in the year 1918, and was one of Sousa's 3 outstanding marches from the World War I era. Although part of this music was originally from Sousa, the main theme and words were from the Caisson song. We're going to do a little more than just play during this work, so here is our first Sousa march for tonight, the U.S. Field Artillery, written in 1918. The next piece was written in commemoration of the American Civil War, and it was written by composer Jerry Billick, who spent most of his career arranging music for television. But in this piece, you'll hear many quotes of tunes from the mid-19th century. We sort of cover the era, as it were, with the tunes that you'll hear in this work, which include Listen to the Mockingbird, Camptown Races, John Brown's Body, Dixie, Maryland, My Maryland, The Battle Cry of Freedom, When Johnny Comes Marching Home, Marching Through Georgia, The Yellow Rose of Texas, and finally a grandioso section of Battle Hymn of the Republic. From Jerry Billick, this is the American Civil War Fantasy. Next is a new piece in our library. Normally we go through the usual avenues of purchasing music through the major publishing houses, or sometimes they're sent electronically through email as the digital age dictates. This piece was not purchased, but gifted to us by our friend Tim Tedrick, who is present tonight with the Chicago Mercantile Battery. So Tim, we thank you for giving us this piece to share with our audience. Frequently, songs that seem to have no relationship with each other have been combined into medleys in order to create a longer piece of music. Both of these songs were written for a solo vocalist and piano accompaniment in 1862, and that's about all they have in common. Battle Cry was the most popular rallying song for the Union troops, whereas Kingdom Coming is a comical song that tells the story of an overweight plantation master who had fled in the face of the advancing Union forces. Arranger Michael Brown put the two tunes together, and we hope you enjoy this medley of the Battle Cry of Freedom and Kingdom Coming. As a very serious piece on our program tonight, next we present The Unknown Soldier. As the piece opens, the material is a symbolic representation of the last minutes of a soldier's final battle. Towards the middle of this piece, you will hear the battle hymn of the Republic, hopefully without thunder, which represents the moment that the soldier commits to giving his life for his country. Throughout this tribute work, the bass drum would have played a total of 21 flams on the instrument, hence the 21-gun salute, which is attributed to the death of a soldier. And before the opening section returns, you will hear taps played by a solo trumpeter, which gives a final tribute to the unknown soldier. In a more universal tribute, this work is dedicated to all who have died in battle in defense of their country. Composer Quincy Hilliard claims that the core of the work is based upon this text. I am the unknown soldier, who in feudal death stands tall, and if I were alive to serve once more, I'd answer my country's call.
Goes back to where we're in DS and
Like most patriotic music, the Armed Forces Salute has stood the test of time and remains the most popular in a handful of patriotic medleys for band. Each of the branches of the United States military services are saluted in this medley. The arranger got so creative that the transitions he wrote in between each song are a quote of a patriotic theme. During this piece, we will announce the names of each song and the branches that they are connected to, and also at the opening of each song, a member of that reflected branch of service will enter the stage and set a flag in place. We would also like to encourage all audience members and band members who have served in our armed forces to stand when you hear your branch's song so that you may be recognized. Of course, as audience members, your applause is encouraged to thank those we recognize who have served our country. For the veterans who gave their lives, for the veterans who are here with us tonight, and for you, our audience, this is the Armed Forces Salute. Song of the United States Army, presenting the flag, David Fisher, U.S. Army retired. The marching song for the United States Coast Guard, presenting the flag, Chief Petty Officer Lori Matlack. Presenting the flag, James Brombo, U.S. Marine Corps, retired. Presenting the flag, Jerry Brereton, U.S. Navy retired. thank you, and thank you for being recognized. Folks, we're going to skip ahead and make a slight program change. We're going to skip ahead to the next march, which is widely considered to be the most famous from the American March King. By act of Congress, it was deemed the National March of the United States. While on a plane, Sousa wrote this march in his head, and then he puts the notes to paper later on. When most bands play this march, they adopt the Sousa band practice of having one piccolo player play the famous obbligato passage during the second trio. Tonight, we're going to break that rule and have two piccolists play that famous line in unison. Those two ladies are Mrs. Liz Seneff and Miss April Coots. From John Philip Sousa, The Stars and Stripes Forever. Folks, we'll shorten up our closing announcements, so quick reminders here. Next Tuesday, the 10th, is Sterling Main Street's next movie, and that begins at dusk. About donations to our organization, we certainly welcome those at any time of the year, and you may leave those at the Coretta in the back of the park if you wish, and we thank you. This Saturday, the Sterling Municipal Jazz Band presents a concert of music in a particular theme, a decade plus 7 years of musical stylings that begins Saturday at 7:30. Next Wednesday at our concert, which begins at 7:30 as well, we will have our second annual Kids Concert, which will feature music for our younger generation. So spread the word and bring your kids and grandkids. We'll have a couple of guest soloists as well, and we'll have an instrument petting zoo to display to young musicians, promising musicians that would like to see what it's like to play a musical instrument. So feel free to arrive early and check that out as well. As we uphold one of our traditions, we close tonight's program with a very famous overture from Tchaikovsky, and as we've asked them to be with us for the past several years, we have our supplemental percussion section to complement this work so that you can experience some real live sounds from the battlefields of ages ago. We, the band and the Chicago Mercantile Battery, give you the 1812 Overture. very much, Frederick. In 1931, President Herbert Hoover signed the bill to officially adopt this piece of music as our nation's anthem. And for 87 years, we have honored this country each time it is sung. We encourage you to do so now as we play. This is the national anthem of the United States of America. God bless America. Chicago Mercantile Battery, thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for braving the steamy humidity tonight. We will see you this Saturday and next Wednesday at 7:30. Have a wonderful evening.